Alrighty guys, as the keep bringing us another Dragon Ball Legends ToP guide video. This is going to be in regards to Season 85. So last season, we ended off at rank 8,127. Obviously, that's not the top cut range, but that's not what we're going for in the first place, right? We're going for that 1,000, that juicy 1,000 CC, to which we did achieve. Let me know in the comment section, did you guys secure your 1,000 CC? And before we begin, I do have to give a massive shout out to doomgeta. He is the one that helped with the massive upgrade for this ToP formats. I do have to show him a bunch of love, and you can show him some support by joining the Discord links in the description down below. The first link is going to be to his own personally managed Discord, and then the second one's going to be for the Dragon Ball Legends Discord server. And another thing before we continue with the video is the fact that there will always be timestamps in the description down below. That way you guys can go ahead and get to where you need to go. Of course, there's going to be a ton of teams being covered in this video, so definitely navigate through those timestamps. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to tell you guys is your general tips. I don't think I'm going to keep going over this in every guide video, especially since they're seasonal. Maybe we'll go and do a collective, like just one ToP guide video, especially since I have a bunch more knowledge on it. But what I want you guys to do is I need you guys to get your friendship rank up. Like right now. Like if you're going to be running regeneration, I can immediately tell you, start getting your Super Baby 2 friendship rank up, right? It's so impactful right here. You're going to see a side-by-side from regular stats to ToP stats, and you're going to see an increase across the boards, and that's all thanks to your friendship rank. Easiest way to get your friendship rank up is by doing the Let's Fight event. You get 3 of these a day. Just do those daily, and you'll gradually get your friendship rank up. Another way to do this is by going into story mode. You're going to go into part 6, book 1, chapter 8. It is going to, not that one, chapter 8. It is going to be against a yellow Super Saiyan 3 Goku. You can repeatedly do this fight over and over and over, right? So this is the second best way, right? Because the Let's Fight event is limited. You only get 3 of those. This one, you can continuously chip at it, but it's incredibly tedious. I don't necessarily recommend it. And if you want to decrease the strain in which you're getting that friendship rank even further, you're going to want to invest in this equipment right here. It is this, there's no way that we could beat or could lose to someone like you. You can get this in the exchange shop through the equipment metal shop. It is specifically for friendship points. Like you get 3% on each slot if you max it out. You don't have to have this maxed out, but the most important thing about this is that it stacks. So I can get 3 of these on one character across all of my characters. And the best thing about this is if I'm doing the Let's Fight event, if I'm bringing in one character, the whole party, just because every member of my party has this equip on, it's going to add to the amount of friendship points gained. And speaking of equips, if you guys do need equips for your ToP characters, look no further than the exchange shop, rare metal shop. There's a ToP tab dedicated to it. This is where you're going to go ahead and get all your best equipments right here. Obviously, the gold ones are what you're going to want. You're going to want one of these for sure. They're going to be delegated towards your typing, melee type, defense type, support type, etc., etc. And then you're also going to have this explosive clash one. This one is star-gated by 7 stars, unfortunately. If you don't have them at 7 stars, you're going to have to opt for these silver equips right here. And these are also typing-based, right? So color-based and then typing-based. I believe these ones down here, melee type right there. And then I always like this one. Personally, I just recommend this one. This one's easy to farm. You got base health. It's 1 slot for base health. All right, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is our pathing right here. We made it look a little bit more colorful, right? So last season, I took away your guys' beloved red circles. You guys probably weren't too happy about that because it's just one color. Maybe it was a little bit too difficult to follow. But since then, we've added little guide markers and stuff like that. And now we have different colors because this is going to basically tell you how the win streak bonus is going to work. So for the first 14 fights, your percentage boost doesn't really go past 10, or it doesn't really go past 50%, right? So it's not, that's why you're going to see kind of like a gray zone, right? That's where you don't really need to bring in your high tiers or anything like that. But once you start hitting fight 15 through 25, you're going to see it go from 100% bonus all the way to 800% bonus. And that's where you see it going from orange to purple. And it's going to line up with this graph made right here. And then I'm going to have to go ahead and give credits to Ab-Zero for this specific graph. And then we also have caution markers to indicate where you're going to be running into some difficult fights throughout this season that we will cover in this video as well. All right, so we're going to go over some of these fights very briefly. Like, for example, this is the second stage you go up against. That Whis, I will highlight that Whis for you guys. That dude will stun you on turn 2. So obviously you want to kill him before he does so. This one right here, there's actually a lot going on. So this Fat Boo, he's debuffing your entire middle row. You want to stay away from that middle row. right? So you're going to have your characters on the top row, and on the bottom row, you're going to also want to go for the Deborahs first. So basically, you want to go for the blue Deborah first because he'll stun you on turn 2, and then the red Deborah is constantly giving damage inflicted buffs to his allies at the start of the turn and then whenever he attacks. So those 3 units are definitely stand out here. Next, we do have this androids fight right here. Of course, Fat Boo again, so you're going to have to expect those debuffs, and you have the green 21 who is going to stun you. Start of turn 2, you want to get her out in turn 1. Another thing about this fight too is that the blue 21's offering a bunch of support for the team, and then the 16, when he dies, he's going to buff all his android allies. So definitely you want to have him as a low priority target. He's going to get targeted towards the end. So for this free-to-play stage, I mean, honestly, there's a lot going on right here too. There's a ton of debuffs going around, but the main unit I want you guys to focus on is the Boo. The Boo, the takeaway from him is that he is stunning a unit on turn 3. And then also too, might as well go ahead and say that this red 18, she has like blast damage received debuff stacking every turn. Next, we have this TN stage, or well, it's a ToP stage, right? But that TN is your high priority unit. He's going to super you on turn 2. Not only does he get the super, because the super is probably not going to kill you. You don't want to get hit with it regardless, but say you do get hit with the super, he's going to stun on top of that too. So it's a double whammy. Don't let him do that. All right, so the next thing we're going to be talking about is this boost. This stage is annoying, right? There's debuffs going on right here. This purple, again though, the purple blue, he's going to be stunning you at the start of turn 3. Fat Boo, that guy's going to be debuffing your middle row, and then this Kid Boo over here, this green one, the free-to-play one, he's debuffing your entire team's damage received. So obviously he's going to be one of the high priorities. Alright, so this fight is also pretty annoying, right? It's basically another Universe Reps team right here. The Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, that dude's going to be able to double attack potentially. It's not guaranteed, I think, if I remember correctly. But he also has a strike cover change. That Vegeta down here has blast damage received debuffs from turn 2. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right here. This one's going to be a little bit annoying. You're going to want some strong red units for this fight. And then we're also taking on this Vegito fight. This one also is going to be rough for those of you running a strike-based team. What I usually always recommend is going for the UVB first, since he has the opportunity to double attack. The blue also has the opportunity to double attack. And then after that, it's just like the purple Vegito has strike cover, the LF one, right? And then the last unit you want to take out is definitely going to be the purple, the transforming one, and then the Ultra Super Vegito at the end, because he is going to nullify a Blast Arts attack. Not only does he nullify it, but once he nullifies it, he also debuffs your whole team on hit. So, you know what I mean? Next, we go straight up here. It's the straightforward team. You want to get the Kaioken Goku and the Beerus out of the way. If you can only get one of them out of the way on turn 1, I do recommend the Kaioken Goku. That dude will super attack you. But after that, then if you have wiggle room there, optimally, you want to get both the Goku and the Beerus out in turn 1, because Beerus will stun you turn 2. Next, we have this one's a mild stage, but Piccolo does have a super attack on turn 3. All right, so next we do have the Sagas from the movie stage, or the Gogeta stage, because the Gogetas are pretty annoying here. Specifically, this green Gogeta, he super attacks you on turn 3, and he also gets a stun. So you have a little wiggle room before he does that, but also this purple Gogeta is debuffing your bottom 2 rows at the same time. So you do want to try to get him out of the way. That way that's not just constantly affecting your team. You're also going to get stunned here by the purple Goku. You can't do anything about that, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Next, we have this Dragon Fist stage. I always tell people to go for the red Tapion first, if possible, just because it's like a basic thing to do. That Tapion will green card at the start of turn 2 and reduce one of your units chosen at random. He'll get their super gauge and then just reduce it to 0. Alright, so next is this GT stage. Oh my god, I hate this one. So I'm going to just let you guys know kind of like what I like to do. I do like going for the Dragon Fist first, just because he has a universal cover change, right? And then I do like going for the Tag Force, and then I'll save Gogeta for the end. Because typically, for the most part, I don't really have the firepower to take on this team, so I kind of have to rely on the rush to get the Gogeta, right? So I can still get that full KO bonus. If you guys have other means to optimally just do it for yourself, like if you have super attack saved, you have sniping capabilities, then go ahead and go for that. And one of the new additions that we're adding to the guide videos is the colored wheel. So this is made by Aflac. This is huge, absolutely massive information right here, right? So now what you're going to be able to see, the number I really want you guys to focus on is the number at the bottom. That's going to be showing you how many of each color is going to be ahead of you for each season, right? So for red units, there's 29 of them. For yellow, it's 29 of them. For purples, it's 35. For green, it's 27. And for blues, it's 25. So it's a it's a purple dominated season. So of course, yellows are going to be pretty strong here. So you want to be a little bit more reluctant to use your green units here, right? Because of there being so many purples. And now if you want to go ahead and get some more usefulness out of this, the highlighted fights, right? You see event exclusive, the Majin Boos, the Universe 7 V2, Super Saiyan 4s, and the Vegetos, right? Those are the most difficult fights for the season. So definitely look at the colors for those fights in particular. Like for example, for the Vegetos, there's 1 blue there, right? There's 2 purples there. There's 2 yellows and then 1 red. The nice thing about this too is that the fights are all numbered too, all the way from 1 through 25, and it's in order. So definitely, I would suggest taking a screenshot of this if you don't have it on hand for the entire season. All right, so now let's move into our top teams, and of course follow the graphic if you guys are unsure what the icons mean. There's going to be star colors, there's going to be boost indicators, and there's going to be core member indicators as well. But we're going to be starting off with regeneration right here. So we do have a little bit, so obviously the team right here on the right hand side, that's universal right there. So what you're going to want to do is that's ideal. That's the ideal regeneration team I want you guys to run if possible. On my end of things, I want to try out Rage Shenron, and I do want to try out the Green Omega, right? It's the perfect time for me to do so. They're both an A tier, and they're both regeneration, right? So why not? I'm going to give you a little bit of insight on this team, though. You have Super Baby 2. This is your healer. This guy's non-replaceable. Don't run regeneration without this guy. This guy's healing you every single turn to the left and to the right of you. You can see his spaces right there to the left and to the right. Boo Tanks is getting a guaranteed super attack. The Parasite Trunks, if you're running him, he's amazing. That Yellow Legends Limited Piccolo is absolutely amazing as well. He gets a guaranteed super on turn 3. So a lot of good stuff going on right here. One thing that I really want you to take away from these graphics though is your boosts. All right. So for example, right here we have 2 Z tier units, 2 Z tiers on backup, right, with the Cell and the Piccolo. You only need a 30%. So Z tier is giving you 20%. I have a total of 40%. If I wanted to take out this purple cell, for example, I could go into S tier and pick up another unit from here, right? So I still get that 30%. Does that make sense to you? Hopefully, I'm pretty sure that does make sense to you guys. But that's what we're going to be doing right here. You want to pay attention to those. So all those boost units are your boost unit replacements. As you can see in S tier, there's some good units here too, like there's DKP, or I mean the Ma Junior from DB Saga. There's also this Cell, he's pretty good, especially if you have him Zenkai'd up. And then this Piccolo is also pretty good, but I don't know how you guys feel about running 3 blues. That might be a little iffy, right? So next we have event exclusive. So you can see there's 2 core members here, right? So we have the Naval. This guy is acting. Look at the support, by the way. He's also healing. He's like a pseudo healer for the event exclusive tag. I mean, he does event exclusive Frieza Force and Frieza Saga. Then you also have this Flea. The reason why he falls under that core member requirement is because of the fact that he's buffing your max base HP. As for the rest of the team, let's go into our boost units right here. This Kefla is in S tier. This free-to-play Kefla right here, this purple one. Right, so this is the perfect time to take advantage of using her if you want to go ahead and do that. And then as for your other units, you have this Legends Road Piccolo. This guy has he's pretty good. We've used him on our own regeneration team. I think his biggest downfall is the fact that he's only buffing regeneration or Legends Road in terms of damage inflicted right there, but his Z ability is still giving an event exclusive. This Red 18 is also pretty good right here. Another one of your boost units. That's 3 S tier units. Getting that 30%, you're good to go. Actually has a pretty good kit too. And then another unit that I like here is this Android 18. She also acts as another pseudo healer if I remember correctly. Yeah, so at the end of the turn, if there are at least 4 other Majin Buu Saga, event exclusive, or Android, you restore health of allies in range by 1% 2 times. Right, and we do fulfill that requirement. This Cell has really good support right here, and then this Gohan has a buff against powerful opponent, and you pretty much see powerful opponents every season, so that's pretty solid. The reason why you see no star indicators on this team is because these are all free-to-play characters. You should have them all 14 stars. I'm not really going to cut you guys too much slack on that. So next, let's talk about Unirep Strike Base. We covered this team before, but it was a very, very cursed, and we ended up scrapping it the next season. But this season, they actually have some pretty good options right here. So again, talking about the core units, it is your Kale right here. This is the designated healer. You are going to be restoring health of allies in range 2 times by 2%. You can see that's the range right there. All those highlighted tiles. right? As for your boost units, Kale is one of them. This Topo is going to be one of them, and then the Rebrand is one of them. So actually, you know, it's actually crazy is that the Topo and the Rebrand is actually in a Z tier, so you theoretically could swap her out for an S tier if you just feel more comfortable with one of these units rather than having, like, for example, my Champa is 5 stars. I'm not going to run that dude, right? That's why I do have the Rebrand in here. She actually has some pretty solid debuffs, which is why I personally would opt for her. And then this Topo is actually giving some really good support right here, 15% to damage inflicted by allies in range, and then also doing some extra stuff if you have Rival Universe, and giving some crit buffs as well, right? As for other units, you do have this Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. This dude's awesome. He super attacks turn 2. This Kiwi actually has a really good kit as well. She's healing too. She's healing. At the start of the second turn, she's restoring ally health by 1%. Is that? I'm pretty sure that's for all allies. I don't really know exactly the way that that's worded, but that seems pretty good. Tag units are generally just extremely good, right? MEY, he has the dodge mechanic, he has damage mitigation, and then this hit, low-key, this hit is kind of fire. If you have him at a good amount of stars, I mean, you could run him at 5 stars too. And this guy, he has 2 stuns available to him. So at the end of turn, he inflicts can attack for 1 turn, and at the start of turn, if his own health is 50% or below, he also inflicts another stun, right? I mean, ideally you don't want him at 50%, but still, that's pretty solid. So next we're going to be talking about Universe Reps, but inversely, let's talk about the blast-based version. This is 100% the better version of Universe Reps, but it's definitely a pay-to-win team, right? I mean, look at the roster right here. It's absolutely insane. Kale still remains your core unit as the designated healer, just like with the strike-based version. Topo stays on here because he's a support typing. His stats are pretty similar to each other. You can still run him on this team. He's still giving damage inflicted buffs, right, towards Rival Universe. And then you have Kaba. This Kaba actually goes crazy, bro. Like, he inflicts all enemies with as you downgrade plus 20% to blast damage received. That's very helpful. Very, very, especially if you're pairing him next to a Vegeta too. As for the rest of the team, tag units are just OP, right? I don't think much has to be said about them. MVP 17 has fantastic support. UI has damage mitigation, right? Zenkai stats, all that good stuff. This Jiren has a guaranteed turn 1 stun. Love to see that. And then this Golden Frieza. This dude has 2 supers, right? So he has the first super, and then he has the second one that automatically turns into an ultimate at the start of the 4th turn if there's 2 or more enemies remaining. Plus, he's debuffing once that ultimate hits. So ideally, you want this guy on a yellow tile at all times. That way, those debuffs are proccing immediately, right? You want to get 2 ults with this guy, basically, is what I'm telling you. So next we have Frieza Force. I don't think this one really changed too much from last season, of course, except for like boost units and stuff like that, right? So basically, core units is going to rely on this Revival Frieza. He's just great just because of the revival capabilities. He look at those debuffs, and he's also acting as one of the healers for Lineage of Evil or Frieza Force. That's why he's going to be included on there in the first place. And then you also have this Naval right here. This dude's a free-to-play option. Look at the support right there, and then he's also acting as, he's kind of like event exclusive, right? So event exclusive Frieza Force or Frieza Saga, he's restoring the HP of all your allies by 1%, but it activates 2 times. Other great units on. And then as for your boost units, you do have this Raspberry right here who's buffing Frieza Force as well. Then you have the Opul who's also providing some more support for, look at the end of turn, ally tag Frieza Force or minion, 10% to damage inflicted and to crit rate. And then this Robbery has a cover change if your units get really low in HP. He also has a self-heal. He's pretty durable. As for the other units, like this free-to-play Broly right here, he has debuffs. He's inflicting all enemies with 10% to blast damage received, which is absolutely phenomenal. This Golden Glizzy is 100% your best bet for damage dealing. Right, again, 2 super attacks. You want him on a yellow tile at all times. That way he's getting 2 ultimate arts attacks. Also, that second super or the second ultimate technically is only going to be activated as long as there's 2 enemies alive on the 4th turn. Another thing I wanted to note right here is that the red Ginyu Goku is listed as a replacement. This dude is a last resort. If you're like absolutely down bad, this is a last resort unit, and he better be 14 stars. So next team is your strike-based Saiyans. You have so much firepower. First off, your core unit is going to be this Green Goku. This dude has cemented himself in pretty much all of his teams, right? Just because of the fact that he has a non-restrictive heal at the start of the 2nd turn, restoring health by 5% for allies in range. That's going to be to the left and to the right of him. As for your support, as for your boost units, you actually have 4 of them here. So you can take one out and just put in a super hard hitter if you really wanted to, right? But this Kaioken Goku is so good, man. 1, he's transforming, right? And then at the end of turn 2, he gets his super gauge full, and then in turn 3, he's going to go ahead and launch that John, right? It's pretty solid. And then this Nappa right here, he's going to be giving you like board wide debuffs. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. And then this Vegeta is very good defensively, right? He has a crazy heal. He has 2 crazy heals. So he restores his own health by 7% on attack, and that activates 2 times. So that those attacks are going to be nothing, right? So basically for 2 attacks, they're not doing anything. I mean, unless he's getting super attack. As for your other units, you have the Kaioken Goku, guaranteed super attack on turn 2. MUI Goku, enough said about him. He has the damage mitigation. This Kid Goku from GT, he's getting his super attack every other fight, right? So more firepower there. This Gogeta, he has pretty solid debuffs, right? He's debuffing the 2 rows right there, the bottom 2 rows of the enemy team. And then, of course, you have a massive amount of replacements if need be. I would say obviously though, the most important thing you have to keep in mind when doing replacements for these teams is pay attention to the color wheel for the season. Pay attention to the core units and pay attention to the boost units. As long as you do that, you should be good. Emphasis on should. So next we're going to do Saiyans, but the blast face variation right here. Core unit still remains the Super Saiyan Goku. That is your designated healer. You want him on here at all times. He's healing to the left and to the right of you. This Fasha is actually really solid right here too. Range type, right? She actually is stunning on a blast arts hit. And at the second turn, she's healing herself, right? I mean, she heals Bardock allies, but she's the only Bardock ally you're going to be running on your team. Still good nonetheless. And then you also have this Kaba that is in Z tier, right? So you're getting a little bit extra on top of the boost that you need right here, right? Because you only need the 30%. This guy is giving all your enemies 20% to blast damage received, right? So he's giving a pretty significant debuff right there. It's going to help out a lot. As for your other units, the Boo Duo. So some of you guys might not, I don't have the Boo Duo. I'm going to tell you guys right now, but the Boo Duo, they're getting a guaranteed Transcendent Kamehameha on turn 4. So a little bit of a slow starter, but they're incredibly good. Plus they're a tag unit, so you should be good there. If you don't have them, you can replace them with the Bombku like I have right here, or you can just replace them in general, right? Like for example, I have the Super Vegeta right here. I have this guy in over the Evo Ken, like for those of you guys that don't have the Evo Ken, but he's in the replacement graphic, right? So again, definitely refer to this, use this to your advantage right here. This Vegeta is just not, he's a replacement, but he's so good because as long as you're keeping him above 40% HP, he's constantly getting 50% to his special move gauge. He's constantly just putting out damage, right? So and then the UIs just swap him over to blast. They kind of swing both ways. The stats are very similar right here. Obviously this guy, he's a range type actually, but the stats are still pretty similar. Again, they swing both ways. All right, so next we have Sun Family, or the Taunthan team, whatever you want to go ahead and call this. This team has 2 core members, like absolutely cannot get swapped. I mean, it's iffy on this Goku. Like, you want a healer no matter what. Maybe you could replace him with a healer, but he's also a boost unit. So if he's a boost unit and a core unit, it's like you want him on the squad, right? So obviously he's going to be healing to the left and to the right of him. This whole team revolves around this Taunthan right here, because the reason why people call him Taunthan is because he's taunting the enemy team. He's goading them into attacking him on turn 1. So every unit is going to put their focus on this unit on turn 1. And then for your boost units right here, we already talked about the Goku being a boost unit. This Gohan is Zenkai Gohan, right? Zenkai stats. He does pretty well for himself here. And then you also have this Kaioken Goku. We talked about him a little bit on the Saiyans team. He does have a guaranteed super attack that procs on turn 3. As for your other units right here, you have the Goten support down here. You're going to see the diagonals getting buffed to the left and to the right of them. You also see this Kid Goku. This guy, he gets a guaranteed super attack every other fight because he's building 50% up per fight. Beast Gohan is just, he's like amazing, right? I don't really have to go too much detail about him. And then you have this new Goten who actually does act as a pseudo healer as well. You can see his range right here. He's actually buffing the Beast and the row below him, so that's pretty solid range. So next we do have Hybrid Saiyan. So this is going to be Strike Brids right here, right? So the units that we have in our lineup for our core units is going to be Pan. She is the HP buffer for Hybrid Saiyans, right? And she actually has a really good kit. You want her next to Gohan units. And then for your boost units, you are running 3 of them, 3 S tiers. That's equating to 30% boost right there. This guy has pretty solid, I'm pretty sure he's supporting just all Hybrid Saiyans. Yeah, so 15% to damage inflicted by allied Vegeta Clan, Super Saiyan, or Hybrid Saiyan. You got Beast Gohan, who's just incredible. You have this Bulla board-wide support. She's also offering a heal for you guys as a pseudo healer. Goten has the support on the diagonals, and this pan is pretty solid as well from what I've seen, from what I've read. I actually personally have never used her. Oh, and then for your boost units, you have the Zenkai Gohan, Zenkai stats of course, and then you have a tag unit. You do want this unit between 8 and 10 stars though, right? So it is pretty demanding star-wise for this unit. So next we do have the Blast version of hybrids right here. Pan is still your core unit, and then for your boost units, we do have a Z tier and an S tier, still giving you that 30%. This Goten, he's you definitely want to save him for the lower end of the board. Same thing with this Gohan. This Gohan isn't really nothing special either, but he has damage cut, right? And so that's something you do want to look for your high tier character in order so that they can just survive. As for the rest of the units, you have this Gohan who has the buff against powerful opponent, which is nice. This Fat Tanks is he has board wide buffs, so it's pretty good. And then of course I don't have the Vegeta Trunks, so I would opt for one of the replacements. I picked them right from the graphic, is this purple Ultimate Gohan. You guys might have them if you guys were anniversary summoners. And then you also have this Parasite Trunks. This guy's phenomenal. I really like this guy a lot. Like, I know like a lot of his kit revolves around going up against a tag Saiyan or hybrid Saiyan, but even when he's not going up against that tags, I feel like he does fine. And then as for the Beast Gohan, you can go ahead and flip-flop him. You can make him either Strike or Blast. It's really similar, the stats right here, right? So he's gonna fit on both. And so for the final team that we are going to be covering for today's video is Sagas from the movies, specifically the Strike variation right here. So core unit is going to be Pan. That's your HP buffer. It's going to offer a lot of support and debuffs, specifically support for Piccolo / Gohan characters. And as you can see right here, going to be buffing those Piccolo and those Gohan characters, right? So you're going to have the Beast on here, both of the Beasts. The Beasts are amazing. They're just phenomenal. This yellow Gohan's also pretty good. He's an old unit. I do expect you to have a good amount of stars on him right here, right? And then in place of the Godku, I do have the Fusing Gogeta, right? Because I don't have that Godku. That Godku is amazing though. If you have the Godku, use him. That dude gets a guaranteed super on turn 1. He's broken. He's absolutely broken. These guys will do the job. They can act as a replacement. You actually have a ton of replacements, especially if you're just picking someone up from C tier. Like, you can use the Ultras right here. You can use the Dragon Fist. You can use the Revival Gohan. There's a lot of options to choose from. And as for your other two boost units, you have this guy right here. He has cut. That's pretty much the most important part, is that having that cut, right? Android 8 actually is really good. If you have him at a good amount of stars, he has a really good kit. I feel like all the Dragon Ball characters are usually high tier and they have good kits. So that's really solid. He's high, and he's definitely the better boost unit here by far. All right, so for the final segment of the video, we're going to be talking about some new units. I'm pretty much going into this somewhat blind. I took a little peek at what they can do, but the Omega Shenron, these guys are, the Omega and the Rage are both regeneration. That's why I'm very excited to use them for us right here, right? So we do have him maxed out, or well, we're going to show his stats maxed out. Key restore speed's actually pretty solid for 2,462 with no friendship rank. Has the blue card, has the ultimate. First ability right here, 70%, 75% to damage inflicted, 15% to blast damage inflicted, 20% to damage cut, plus 50 to key recovery. And on strike or blast arts attack, multi-target, 10% to damage inflicted, inflicts enemies in range. That's a pretty good range too, by the way. 10% to damage received for 2 turns, activates twice, and then inflicts enemies in range with attribute downgrade, minus 20 to key recovery. Oh, he's going to be very annoying for the enemy team. That's good. And then you also inflict them with 15% to minus 15% to critical rate. Okay, all right. And on strike or blast arts hit, you inflict strong poison for 1 turn before receiving a strike arts attack, as long as it's health gated by 30%. It's a strike coverage change right here. At the start of the 3rd turn, 4 or more enemies remaining, you activate your green card. So you activate your green card on turn 3 if there's 4 or more enemies. I feel like that's not too often. But you pop your green card, you get 20% to your own special move gauge, you upgrade your own special move arts, you cancel enemy buff effects. All enemies? Is it all enemies? That might be good. After receiving an attack, you restore health by 2%, activates twice, 10% to special move damage inflicted, 10% to ultimate damage inflicted. Those both can activate up to 3 times. And after receiving an attack when health is 30% or below, restore health by 2%, activates once, and dude, 30%? Bro, you have to get to 30% HP or below for this to activate? That's some BS, bro. Loki, that's kind of annoying. That kind of makes me salty. For the next unit we're going to be reviewing is the Rage Shenron. So let's go ToP stats, display maximum stats right here. Key restore speed is in the gutter at 2,292. Can be alleviated a little bit with the friendship rank, right? It only has the blue card available to him. Whoa. has a, what is that, 5? Or is it S for Shenron? I'm not too sure. That's his range right there, 15% to damage inflicted for allies in range, 60% to own damage inflicted, 10% to damage cut, and applies buff effect, restore, oh, okay, so he's healing basically, restores 15% of damage received, up to 15% of own health. At the start of the turn, 5 enemies or less remaining, you get 20% to damage received, or damage cut for 1 turn, and you apply a buff effect, enemies focus on, oh, he has the taunt effect. Okay, we got a regeneration with taunt. This is going to be interesting. I definitely can't wait to use this. Start of the turn, own health is 50% or below. Multi-target, restores health of allies in range by 1%. Activates 1 time, 30% to damage. Okay, I'm liking him a lot. He does have a blast cover change, health gated by 30%. After receiving a strike arts attack, you inflict stun, bro. Are you serious? You inflict stun, you inflict attribute downgrade 10% to minus 10 or plus 10% to damage received. For 2 turns, activates 3 times, inflict attribute downgrade minus 10% to keep recovery for 2 turns, and after receiving a blast arts attack, you restore your health by 2%, activates once, 10% to damage inflicted. For 2 turns, activates 3 times, and 10% to special. Oh, he's farming, because he's going to be eating all the attacks, right? Because he's going to have the taunt mechanic as long as there's 5 enemies or less remaining. Right, so you just have to kill 1 enemy, and then he's going to start eating all the attacks. And then he's going to get all this other juicy stuff. Bro, he's going to cook. He's going to cook. I'm putting all my faith into this unit right here. He's going to completely outshine the green. All right, and as for the last unit we're going to be taking a look at is this. We're going to use this guy next season, by the way. So letting you guys know right now, we're using Sun Family next season. We're abandoning regeneration for the season, next season. Not this season. But his key restore speed is 2,369 at friendship rank 5. Has the blue card available to him. Start of the battle, 70% damage inflicted, 15% to damage cut, 20% to key recovery. So you're adding 20% of this on top of it, bro. That he's gonna be pretty fast. All right. Before receiving a strike, blast, or special move arts, you get minus 10% to damage received instantly. Activates 1 time, some more cut. 10% to damage inflicted by Gohan in range, and this effect will activate even if an ally performs a cover change. After receiving an attack, you restore ally health by 1%, activates 2 times, 10% to damage inflicted, and at the end of the second turn, allies in range restores health of character Goku or Gohan by 2. Oh, he's going to be perfect on Sun Family, I think. On Taunthan teams, I think he's going to be a really good addition. We'll see what happens. We're going to use them next season. All right, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Hopefully you guys did get a lot of information out of it. Please use the timestamps because I know it was a lot to take in. Thank you guys so much for watching. Huge shout out to doomgeta. Again, make sure you guys are checking out the links in the description down below if you want to show him your support. I appreciate every single one of you guys. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you guys leave a like, a comment, maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!